सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारंभं करिष्यामि सिद्धे भवतु मे सदा वसुदेवं सुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं नमस्ते. Yes, if somebody can recollect what is it that we saw last, we found the link and then we'll go to a question which was just raised now by Sudhakaran sir. So before we go to that, can someone recollect what is it that we saw? Yes, anybody. Wherein what is the third moment?
We saw about Kavi,
Ji.
Manishi, Paribu, and Swayambhu. We also saw about to rise above the Indriyas. That's when you can experience the divine. We also saw about Vidya and Avidya.
Yes. Yes, Umaji. So this duality is Vidya and Avidya. Something a little bit about what we saw, something you can share, Umaji, about these dualities, anything?
About Vidya and Avidya.
Yes, yes, ji.
Um, Maybe I'm not too confident about
Huh.
explaining.
Okay, all right. Anything you just feel like if you wish to, something about it.
Can I can I say?
Okay, Alpana ji wants to. All right, Alpana ji.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
So this avidya for the people who are already followers of ignorance, deep and
Hmm.
blind ignorance. Yeah, avidya affects them, and then they are already into that darkness. And people who are rigid followers of knowledge, they also sink into the condition of darkness,
Which is
which
dark greater, which is greater,
greater
no?
darkness. Yeah, greater darkness.
Hmm.
And the reconciliation between the two
The
is
two.
important. Yeah.
Okay, so the wise, they are understanding this is at one end, this is at the other end of the
Another,
spectrum.
yeah.
But that reconciliation of both, meaning if you see Avidya is that Vidya which is giving a lot of importance about the self,
Correct.
individual. And how is it? It is, if you see that one self is now, if you look at it in terms of consciousness, there is one self which is manifest as many, as in the Vedantic Mahavakya, Ekoham Bahusyami. I am one, let me become many. So there's a differentiation. And so what we can say, a multiplicity of consciousness. And what is happening then? Each of us are progressing, isn't it? In Prakriti, there is this growth, movement, forward progression that goes on, isn't it? Even perpetuation of the race, one after the other. That growth goes on. So this is one side. And the other side is Vidya. Vidya is that knowledge which is taking us closer to what is the highest Brahman. What we call these, we use the word Akshara Brahma, the highest consciousness or the highest truth, which is what we also silent Brahman, we can say, isn't it? There are two active principles, isn't it? One side is the active participant of the Brahman, which can be realized through the path of avidya also, because that active participant of the Brahman is manifesting in this bhuloka. We may call it a world of ignorance, right? Because it does not have that knowledge, but still this is also containing some portion of that. So, meaning we will have to not reject this world in this world. It's like somebody trying to mine and go deeper and deeper, and then you will find. If you see the words in Savitri, matter shall reveal the spirit's face. What is the meaning of that? Means hidden in this deep depth of matter, the spirit will be revealed. Or like there is a goddess in the Rig Veda. Her name is Sarama Devi, the hound of the heaven, the female hound described in the Rig Veda. What is her job? She goes into the darkest caves. What does see one see in darkness? Can there be light in darkness? Anybody?
No.
No. What if darkness is just the shadow of the light only, isn't it? Through the shadow also you can try to connect to the source of the shadow. And this is what that Sarma Devi is doing in the darkest cave of the subconscious. You can just imagine these jaws with what we can say sharp teeth summoning light into the darkest of dark caves. This is said in the Bhagavad Gita also that knowledge is that truth which can suddenly transform a person. Nahi jnanena sadrusham pavitram na vidyate. Nothing greater than that. So transformation will make what? Valya will become the great Maharshi Valmiki. How is it possible? It's realization. The Buddha talked about people being a spark away from realization. We don't realize it. We don't know it because we are trapped. So one end, one person is trapped in avidya, another end, the person is trapped in vidya. But then there are the wise. That is what is called the doctrine of the awakened. Iti shushrama dhiranam. The dhira ones who are able to see. See what? They are able to see with samatha. They are able to see with poise. They are able to see these are two ends. Prashnaji wants to add something. Yes, please.
No, Dr. Sushant, I didn't understand the last line that you were saying. The doctrine of what? Just
The
would like
doctrine
you to
of the
repeat that.
awakened, we're just calling it, it's a name, the doctrine of the awakened, meaning this is what the dhira, iti shushruma dhiranam, yenastad vija chakshire. Those seers, they saw this, they realized it. So this is like their doctrine, their principle. So the dhira is somebody who is poised, what we call sthita pragnya in the Gita. That is also somebody who is there, quiet. Quiet in what? In the extremes, in the opposites of what? Friendship also, and also in the presence of force also, there's no fluctuation. Same way, where there is knowledge or ignorance, this person is not getting disturbed. Where there is praise and criticism, we can take. How many of us can take praise with balance? Very easy. A lot of people, yeah, I can do it. But how many of us can take criticism with a balance? Very difficult. ये तो दिल पे जाता है because we're attached, isn't it? We don't want to have this pain. But the wise are able to see both as one. Yes, Sudhakar ji sir was adding something. Is it sir?
I said constructive criticism.
Yes, I know
Criticism
constructive
is
also, but
acceptable.
destructive also we should learn to take it. I am a biggest fool, somebody just declared. That person has the right, isn't it? To have a
Yes.
perception. I'm not a dictator. I can't enforce my view on somebody else. I may have a view of my life. I may have a particular, I want others to understand. But can I force that view? What I understand, let that person also understand. And then if I lose mine, my view completely because I'm appeasing another person, there also I'm getting trapped. There I'm getting trapped into a greater darkness. Why? I'm already on the path of Vidya. And in that path of Vidya, now I'm too great than that person and I'm just trying to trap another. So this is the thing. The dualities, and the dualities are transcended. When the dualities are transcended, you get the realization that is the highest realization. Be it even the Adi Shankaracharya's Atma Shatakam. Na punyam, na papam, na saukyam, na dukkham, na mantro, na tirtham, na veda, na yajnam. Not this, not this, neti, 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 then what? Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham. When I realize that I am connected with a consciousness, which is that consciousness of that Supreme Brahman, which is perfect, which is pure. Can I be polluted? Can I be corrupted? Can I be broken? Can I be hurt? That is the Atman, the divine, the one who is supreme, that is inside of me. Will we not get a source of strength when we realize this? So that is the realization, which is slightly higher. So this was what we saw. We saw something in the movements. It was talking about dualities and reconciliation. We saw dualities of Vidya and Avidya. Now we'll be coming to another duality. Before that, we'll go to a question that was raised by Sudhakarji. Sir, I would like to request you to just share the question and little bit context if you can recollect, because
Oh,
that will
yesterday
help me.
when we were discussing yesterday about duality,
Yes, sir.
Vidya and Avidya, you were in the passing mentioning we are surrounded by forces.
We being surrounded by forces, isn't it? Is that what you're telling, sir? All of us are surrounded by forces. Yes? I think sir's screen has frozen. Everybody's able to hear me? Yeah, all right. So I think I'll assume it is that when Sudhakarji joins, he can re-clarify if he meant that only. So there are
Yeah,
forces of, yeah, yes, sir. I think your screen is frozen, sir. I can't see you.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, now I can see you. So that was a reference, isn't it, sir? The
Yeah, that
forces
was a
that surround
reference.
us, which are at
Surrounded.
play.
Yeah, I want to know in what context you mentioned that the forces that surround
No, all
us.
right. I think I'll assume that and we'll go ahead. So, yes, there are forces at play at any given time. These are forces which are dual in nature.
Hmm.
One is a constructive force, one is a destructive force. There is always a fight between these two forces. You must have heard about Amrit coming out of Samudra Manthan only, isn't it?
Yep. Hmm.
These opposite forces, they clash.
Clash and
And through that clash, only some beautiful nectar is going to come out. But when there is clash, is there fun? I don't think we like the clash of forces. But when we are able to look beyond the dualities, this is my perspective, that is that person's perspective. Generally, when you are in a clash, when you are driven only by the myopic view of the individual, you are going to hold on to your view and you are going to try to counter the view of the other person. Even in tug of war, I have so much strength, the other person has so much strength. Whose side is the tug of war going to yield to? That is all that is there. Nowhere will you see the what is the net product of what this churning takes place here. The net product is the Amrut, and
hmm.
that is where our focus should be, because these forces are just a part of the flux in this world. We call them psychological forces, we call them constructive forces, destructive forces, Daivi forces, Asuri forces. In the Gita, they are given characters according to the gunas, Rajasic forces, Tamasic forces, Sattvic forces. In simple way, this is a game of life which is always going to take place. That is not going to change. The forces will not end. But how we deal with the forces is going to make a lot of difference. A meeting with somebody, what will happen at that time of the meeting? We always wonder what is going. We want a particular outcome, but we can't ensure. We don't have a guarantee of that outcome. On that individual, there are individual forces at play. Some are internal, some are external. How does one approach then? How does one approach? Can we control the forces is the biggest question. Can we control the forces in this world?
We can only
No.
control ourselves.
We can control ourselves, isn't it?
Hmm.
So again, that requires us to introspect and disconnect from the physical body, isn't it? Otherwise, bodily consciousness, you are going to again function according to Indriyas. What Brahman, I tried to realize Brahman sitting on the trying to sit on the compound wall. What Brahman did I realize? The security guard told me, near Brahman, this person is not Brahman. Get down, you foolish person, you young boy. What do you think of yourself? So what happened there? There was a force of mine which pushed me up there. Another force pulled me down. And what happened then? Result? Ahankar. What is this? I can't. Katham Brahma. Where is this? Instead of just getting trapped, if you are able to take the attitude of the Dhira or the wise, you know there is no result which is a bad result. You just understand that this is a flow which is taking place. Everything is an experiment, everything is going to lead to something. Best attitude is anybody is there who is a researcher in our session today? Anybody has done research, maybe written research papers? Anyone?
No.
No. All right. Generally, there's very interesting thing. You start with one hypothesis. Then there is an opposite hypothesis called alternate hypothesis. So if the research is successful, the hypothesis is going to be true. What they call the null hypothesis is true. This is working. You have taken so many efforts. Sometimes people take 10 years to do a particular research and then they get, yes, this is working. Now, what happens if it does not work? Anybody? 10 years of efforts.
Frustration, maybe.
No,
No?
researcher will publish a paper. He will publish a paper saying it does not work.
Oh,
This is proven. Hence, it has been proven that my alternate hypothesis is true. May this learning benefit the community. I know somebody who worked with us. His design only was flawed. We saw it for 10 years. I was unfortunately part of it. At the end of 10 years, he's saying we need to do better research. We need to do certain things. I was so surprised. I was like, this for this did we sign the MOU? 10 years have gone and this is what the outcome is. Because the hypothesis was not true. No, but this attitude, if you are wise, if you are in this state where you are not quickly jumping to inferences, you are quickly not getting, attached to both ends, then you are able to see that, hey, who is that researcher thinking he is doing research or he is being driven? There is a force which is driving what made that research come to that individual, and through that, something else happened which that individual also is not aware. It's something like that. The yogis are somewhere disconnected from the individual personal, ahankar. So, because of ahankar, ahankar is getting pricked. No? Ahankar in me wants to realize Brahman. Then the active Brahman in the universe tried to show that this is not, this ahankar, with ahankar, Brahman cannot be realized. And then I experienced anger and frustration. Instead, if I could have just probably sat on a bench elsewhere quietly and tried to realize, I don't think 4 feet height difference will make any difference in the height of realization. It is the outer aspect. So these forces are at all times at play. We have to become conscious, and when we are conscious, nothing is going to go against the will of the divine. You're going to understand that everything is the divine will. Two friends come together, they meet very well. Two friends fight and then again go away. What is the difference? What is it? What is coming out? No, forget all of it. Do if you are sincere, you don't have to worry about what is the outcome. There is also the principle of the Bhagavad Gita, doing the karma, isn't it? Karmanyevadhikaraste mam phaleshu kadachana. Here also in this Upanishad, if we go back to the first moment, it is the same thing. In the first moment, we have the second shloka. Kurvan neveha karmani jijivishe chatam sama evam tvai nanyat na karma lipyate nare. I am not going to be bound by the consequences of karma. Why? I am recognizing everything to be as the divine's will. Isha vasyam idam sarvam. Everything. Everything includes only favorable results or unfavorable also. All, everything, unfavorable, favorable. So with that attitude, you proceed. You are not going to be bound. No karma bandhana. I did this, I did that. No, I didn't do anything. Na ham karta, harihi karta. That is the approach of many. I am not the doer, but my work is done by somebody, by a force which is not any of this worldly level force, a force which is higher. That is the highest force which is understood by the Dhira. They are in that state of consciousness, or if you say they are in a laya. The yogis also are in a different state of laya. You cannot attribute the outer normal actions to them because their actions are not bound by karma. Suddenly, it may look like a yogi is shouting. You say, see, this person is angry, but it's not an angry person speaking. It is a person in attachment. He's not attached to shouting or is not attached to not shouting also. Some people are too polite. What happens then? They get a medal, gold medal for politeness. No, isn't it? They are so attached to that politeness that sometimes they are not able to raise their own voice. against injustice, because, or sometimes some people feel it's not proper. What is going to happen then to such a person? Where will that person learn to go ahead, or how will that person manifest the divine will if that person is attached in that? Isn't it right that sometimes you have to raise your voice?
You have to.
We have to, isn't it?
Yes.
But do we have to get cranky and irritated or anything just because we're raising our voice? I think parents can tell the be the best example. So many times when they're children, especially when they're little kids, parents invent a language, no? And they start making funny noises. Sometimes the spouse hears it and laughs. What was that language? But the child has understood it. He's not, the child feels, oh, this is not what I should do. Means the child is taught in a language which the child can understand, but here the person is not attached. So the consequences of anger, the what we can say, direct karmic consequences. What anger leads to frustration, anger leads to increase of probably blood pressure, anxiety. All of that actually slowly disappears because this person is not angry at all. So this forces, if we have to understand, we have to take one step behind and watch, intervene when required. But while intervening, we don't understand that both places you can get trapped. Only if you are recognizing everything is the divine's. You have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose. I have fallen down flat on my face. So what? Brahma pushed me. He wanted something to realize through that. Through my fall, maybe he wanted something. Best example is one more Upanishad called Kathopanishad, which talks about a young boy. I think we looked at it, a reference maybe somewhere. I think it was Chitraji talked about it, Shreyas and Prayas as well in a session previously. The young boy is told by father, by his father that I'll send you to Yama because he's insulted. What is wrong? The boy was telling the truth, but somebody who is in the path of untruth is getting disturbed by truth, isn't it? So here he's got disturbed. He says, I'll send you to Yama. Now, will a child leave the home just like that? No. But here there is something. There is a higher truth which has to be realized. Maybe God wants to achieve something by this journey. I have to walk all the way to the gates of Yama. I don't mind because it is the realization. He's not frustrated. He's not emotionally disturbed. It is not an emotional, frustrated reaction taking place on the superficial level. It is on a higher consciousness. And so this young Nachiketas goes to the doors of Yama, and in Yama's place, Yama is scared because this person's what knowledge, the Teja, the Brahma Vidya inside of that child is so great, he feels, I have done injustice to this child, and then passes on the secret. So I think, Sudhakar sir, I think we just covered this point about forces. They are at play. When we take a step back, we're able to watch them. When we're able to watch them, we're able to act on them. We know correctly when to intervene, when to not intervene. And because we are not connected with the outcomes, there is no inner instability at all. No anxiety, no worry. Tatra ko moha, kah shoka. What moha is there? What shoka is there? Moha is for what? When you have attachment, I may lose something, isn't it? The fear. When you say nothing is yours, can you get lost? Can you lose it? Say I come on the road, suddenly you are walking happily back from work in the end of the day. You're little tired and you see me. I'm standing with a knife or a gun. Give me Eiffel Tower or I'll not let you go. What will your reaction be? Where bhai, take Taj Mahal also. Let me go happily. No, I don't need. You take Taj Mahal, Eiffel Tower, both are yours. And you will walk away because did you lose anything? No. Did you lose the Eiffel Tower? No, because it was never yours, isn't it? If you realize that nothing is there for you to lose, everything is happening according to the Brahman. A single leaf in this world also will not move without the force of the divine. If you are conscious of that, you are at so much peace. So much peace, even when everybody in the world is saying you are wrong. Sometimes it happens, no? Some people get a lot of praise. They get happy. They rise. Then they get a lot of criticism. And then that breaks them completely. Instead, the one who is wise is not getting affected by praise or criticism, and that is allowing us to extend beyond these extremes, the dualities, the vidya and avidya, and then comes another duality, manifestation and dissolution. Yes, anybody wants to ask something, you are welcome, otherwise, we move ahead.
I just want to ask basically what you're saying, be an observer always before reacting, if any reaction is needed. Would I be
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
this is something called Sakshi Bhava also in sadhana, becoming the witness, meaning you are witnessing others also, you are witnessing yourself also.
Right.
You are
Okay.
watching the reactions inside of you.
Thank you.
Yes, Ji, rightly said, Ji. Sri Aurobindo also has talked about it. And this comes only when you are able to, start becoming a little more deeper in observing things and not looking at the superficial aspects. Watching the game of forces. We saw, isn't it? There is a gradation of consciousness. Kavi, Manishi, Paribhu, Swayambhu. What is all of this? Who is able to see all of this? Only somebody who is quiet. That person can get a glimpse. Yeah, this is it. Sometimes people can understand what somebody else feels. Sometimes people can understand what's going to happen. Are they having some extra software update or something, or premium subscription of the divine? So they will get messages what is going to happen. It's not that, it's just that they're quiet and learning to become observers of the game of forces. So, like that, there's another set of dualities, like we talked about Vidya and Avidya, that is manifestation and dissolution. Manifestation always gives joy. Dissolution mostly really disturbs a person, but sometimes dissolution also is required, isn't it? Dissolution of past sanskaras. If they don't get dissolved, they'll continue, isn't it? Many times
Yeah.
school teachers tell students, oh, you're fools, you're fools. That creates a very strong sanskara in children. And the child begins to believe he is a fool or she is a fool. He is useless, she is useless. Useless fellows. I used to have one teacher, bloody rascals, she used to say. That was her language. And so funny it was because of her accent, we didn't feel bad. But then there was one friend of mine, he felt so bad at being called useless that he was in tears and he says, this person has been telling this to me all the time. But that person had an effect, isn't it? Means that sanskara was created. Because that sanskara was created, sometimes people carry throughout their lives. Highly successful individuals. They have done and achieved so much, but they are still carrying a baggage which is imaginary just because of the past sanskara. So sometimes their dissolution is important. Greatest dissolution is sometimes towards realization. If is there that Mrutyunjaya mantra, it is like victory over death also. Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam urvarukamiva bandhanat mrityormukshiyamamrita. Mukti from death also. How I meditate upon that three-eyed one, that Shiva, that Mangal consciousness, that divine consciousness. Why? Such is the power of connecting to the highest consciousness that it can dissolve all the karmas. Same way, connecting with the higher consciousness can also manifest the karmas also. Good actions also can take place. So that this is also the second duality. Let us look at what the Upanishad talks about it without much delay. We had stopped at the 13th shloka, so let's continue with the 14th. No, I think 12th shloka we had stopped, isn't it? We continue with the 13th. Anybody, can you just confirm which shloka we stopped at?
I think we should be on Shloka 4 this week. I mean, today.
We are
Or
in
five.
the 12th
I
shloka, I
think we
think. Is it?
completed 11 shloka last
Yeah,
time.
yeah, that is it. We just completed about the Vidya and Avidya, and we're going to the
Avidya.
next part.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah, right, Ji.
12.
Yes, the 12th one then. Let's continue. Andham tamaha pravishanti ye sambhutim upasate tata bhuya ivate tamo yau sambhutyamritaha. The state of non-birth, I'll just repeat it once more. Andham tamaha pravishanti, ye sambhutim upasate, tato bhuya ivate tamo, yau sambhutyam rataha. The state of non-birth, those who seek and pray, into the dark realms devoid of light they stray. Only that which is born, those who perceive and comprehend, into even more darkness they verily descend. Again, this is the exclusive approach. The one who is talking about, I am going to only, like sometimes people say, there's a duality even in the approach. I am going to do sadhana of only the Niraguna Nirakar Brahma. There is a wrestling match. One side Niraguna Nirakar Brahma Upasak, another side Saguna. The one person who is talking about, I am going to get Sakar and Sagun, the Prakrut, the manifest one. Who is going to win this? Anybody?
Someone will win.
Sagun will win is what Renukaji says. Okay, because Sagun is present, Nirgun cannot do any wrestling Dao, is it? Okay, Renukaji says Sagun will win. Anybody agrees or has another opinion?
There are no winners in this.
Yeah,
Both are
actually, both are losers because both are getting trapped in their own in this approach. No, both are forgetting the crux of the sadhana. A person talking about I am Vaishnavite, another person is I am Shaivite. Fights between Vaishnavite and Shaivites. Is it required? Again, it is a it's a mind, it's a madness of the mind, isn't it? Limitation of the mind. That this is creating a divide. You're not able to see the one. Somebody who can see will say, Hare, Harihara Swami's temple is there, where Hara is there and Hari also is there, both together. Where there is not that approach which is creating absolute exclusivism, that division. I had gone to a temple asking for Bilva because my teacher asked me for Bilva Patra. Now that was for Ayurvedic purpose, but you don't see Bilva trees in the city. Only place I could get was in the temple of Shiva. But unfortunately, I went to a wrong temple. And when I asked there, they looked like I had done blasphemy. Perumal Koil, you have come and you have asked this as if now you have insulted the final Deva. Don't you know? Don't you have sense? I said, I'm very sorry. Where is the Shiva temple there? Acha, yes, thank you. We went. Now somebody said, why didn't you tell them something from the what you know? Like, why I'll give heartburn to them? Rudranam Shankarash Chasmi Bhagavad Gita has said. Among Rudras, Krishna says, I am Shankara. Now, who is Vishnu and who is Shiva? Are you going to create Bheda? Have you reached the consciousness of Vishnu? Have you reached the consciousness of Shiva? That is the important aspect, isn't it? Are you able to reach even one small, infinitesimal fraction of that consciousness? You will be in Ananda, you will stop fighting. So this aspect of this Bheda only is again the Upanishad is talking about a warning. It says this person goes into the darkness who tries to go directly and tries to connect only with the non-birth. The other who is talking about Sambhuti or manifestation. Many say, no, what's the use of ideals if they don't manifest? Before any manifestation, ideal has to be there. No, otherwise there will be no manifestation of the ideal. But somebody says, I think only about the ideals. I believe in world peace. So I will go to the border and start reading poetry on world peace. Will it create great transformation in the ground, in the manifestation? No, it will not. It will, before I complete the poem, only my head will be cut off. What is this? Enough of this poem. Whether or not he's from this side or that side, at least he'll stop reading the poem. If we silence him, will be the approach of a terrorist who's never going to understand higher ideals. So there you need to understand what is manifesting. So these are two ends. One is manifestation, another is dissolution. Meaning everywhere I think it's simple. When you start thinking about you as a doer and you start doing something, you are under pressure. Because you are the doer now, no? You are caught with one thing. Another person says, I am doing this. Another person says, no, I am not doing this. What has happened here? Are we recognizing that the divine is functioning? No. Many times when you do something against your will, what happens? Anybody? You get frustrated, isn't it? Yes, Shashiji is saying something. Yes, ma'am.
No, I was going to say the same thing. Discomfort,
Discomfort, disharmony,
frustration,
disquiet on the
disharmony.
inside,
Absolutely.
disquiet on the outside, probably anxiety as well. Rashna ji is saying something? Yes, ji.
Yeah, mostly when we think that we are right or wrong, then the burden of that thing is on our shoulders. If
Ah,
we are right, then we we feel good, but when we are wrong, then we feel ashamed, and that really takes us down. Then
yes.
it is useless and a waste of time.
Yes, and what I think is right, will somebody will say this is wrong, isn't it? Should I go on fighting or trying to convince another person what is right and what is wrong? No, it's of no use actually. What is right will remain what is right. It will right. Is Satyameva Jayate? We say that, no? So instead, let the actions speak. Let you stand what you stand for. But here, don't be so rigidly trapped in your own approach that you are forgetting the higher truth. What is that higher truth which has to be realized? What is the ideal that you are seeking? Are you going to forget that ideal and look at all the other little things which are insignificant in comparison to that ideal? I believe in this, I believe in that. Again, who is believing? It is the I. When that I comes out, you will realize the supreme I, the divine. But till that is gone, darkness. One side darkness, another side darkness. It is something like that. Let's continue. The next shloka. अन्यदेवाहु संभवाद अन्यदाहुर असंभवाद इति शुश्रुमधीराणाम ये नस्तद विच चक्षिरे. So what is it? अन्यदेवाहुः संभवान् अन्यदाहुर् असंभवान् इति शुश्रुमधीराणाम ये नस्तद्विचक्षिरे. At one end lies that which comes from manifestation. At the other lies what becomes by dissolution. The doctrine of the awakened we have thus received, and their ancient wisdom we have heard and conceived. Yes, this is also one end, manifestation also. Another side is dissolution. Just understand them to be two different aspects. Cannot opposite entities coexist? Can people having two opposite views have a conversation? Is it possible?
Yes, as long as the ego doesn't get in the way.
Yes, whose ego shouldn't come in the way?
Both.
Both this.
Both. But if one person has learned to withdraw from the ego, even that can maintain harmony, isn't it? Because two egos clash. Ego in me is looking at the ego at the other person, and both are fighting. Instead, one
See,
person is just moved out. Then that person can understand what is the higher truth. And this
if
person
they
is
have,
not going to get. Yes, sir.
sorry, if they want to have a dialogue, it's good. But if they want to have an argument, then it's different.
In the sense, sir, what is that in the sense?
A dialogue is there is no ego in between, trying to
Oh, right.
understand.
That way you were
But
saying. Okay.
when you go and have an argument, certainly ego exists there.
Yes. So a good dialogue will happen at least when one person has taken a step back out of the ego, isn't it?
Correct.
One person is not having ego. So whatever you say, you are a fool, you are useless, you have no brain, what you think is like this, you have very little knowledge, you are impractical. All these factors won't make a difference to the person who has no ego. But you did like this was your past, you are known for all of this. Yes, all right. Are you done? Let's have a dialogue. We are here for a dialogue, not for an argument. It's so easy to say that. It sometimes great things can happen also when at least one person connects with the higher consciousness. The other person will get overwhelmed by the consciousness, not the person also. Consciousness will play the role. We talked about forces, isn't it? For a person to be a conduit of a divine force, for a person to be an instrument of the divine force, what is important? Absence of ego. Otherwise, that becomes the problem. Ego is the biggest trouble there. You cannot become, you can like, can there be two drivers for a single car? No. There can be one. So who is that driver? Are you going to have some local kid who has just got a driving license, or you're going to have the expert racer who can take it at the highest speed, or the divine? That this divine should be the driver. And then manifestation takes place. Dissolution of wrong sanskara also takes place. All that happens when the divine is there, because the force of the divine is doing it, the person is doing nothing. And for that, we need that doctrine of the awakened. We need that doctrine. We need to recognize. Is it that we only have challenges in this particular era and there were no challenges in the olden days, in the ancient times? Is there any time when there has been no challenge for humanity?
Never.
Never, isn't it? Movies only we have happy endings, isn't it? In life, life goes on. No, one great event has happened. Next day, I remember in school, my biggest moment was winning state level. I had got some prize on the state level in badminton. I was so happy. They gave a huge shield. I was so happy because a lot of work we did, hurt so many months of hard work, and next thing I knew, the next day I'm sitting in class. Nobody knows what has happened. I can't speak anything, and here this professor is teaching some subject which is very, very deep, and I'm not able to understand anything. And I'm so excited, but it's of no use. This is exactly what is required for us. Actually, we have to quickly forget things and move back, because if we hold on to things of the past, they will not allow us. They will not allow us. So, divine work we want to do, you'll have to erase the board, make it blank. When it is blank, their divine can write this divine story, isn't it? Otherwise, you'll be like holding on to that same old thing. This happened, that happened. Then who's going to listen to your stories? Nobody, unfortunately. We all want someone to listen to our stories. But even like that, every poet has that problem. No, nobody listens to my poetry. This is a perennial complaint from ancient times of every poet. That's why they hold meets of poets. Most of the time, each poet is, even in a meet, is just busy expressing their poetry and nobody has time to listen. So everybody reads out, but nobody listens to anybody and it's over. Instead of that, we have to just recognize this, that the divine is at play. Then the question of manifestation and dissolution, what the divine wants, and the divine can manifest anything, anywhere. Worst of worst situations. Avatars are waiting for the worst situation only. यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानम् अधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम् वै परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे. From yugas, ancient times, avatars wait to create difficult situations. They wait for that darkest moment when you feel nothing is going to happen or what's going to happen. You feel so much anxiety and panic and all of that. Nothing right is going to happen. That time a manifestation takes place. And this is manifestation of what? Of a divine will. So then what is chaos so bad? We run away from chaos, isn't it? We run away from struggles. We run away from hurdles. Something which is challenging, which we feel is not, we are not up to it. We say, I better not do it. But isn't that chaos or isn't that struggle? Isn't that the ground which is going to make a person strong? Isn't that the ground which is going to allow a manifestation? A hurdle can become the source of a manifestation, isn't it? Remove the hurdle, manifestation will not take place. A young botanist thought he's helping a butterfly come out of the pupa because he saw that the butterfly was struggling so much. And he cut that pupa a little bit to help that butterfly come out. Unfortunately, that butterfly got crippled the rest of its life because the struggle of breaking through that pupa, no, that freedom movement for it itself is the one which is teaching it how to fly. Like that, some of the days which are the worst days of our life, we need to probably look at it and just say this is also required only. Why? Isha Vasyam Midam Sarvam. Simple. Isha Upanishad, you remember, you just hold on to first shloka, you have the answer. No worries, no pressures. What is going to happen? What the divine wants to happen is going to happen. This is very difficult to understand. But if you become a little calm and you see how many things have happened by the divine will, and isn't there a pattern of things manifesting according to the divine's way, you become calm and you see it's all going to happen. It's all right. No chaos will. Or do we have to say this is not the right muhurta for the divine manifestation? Rahu Kala is going on. Hey Ishvara, stop functioning right now. Because I got the direct understanding of the Hora also is not good right now. A Graha alignment also is not good. So now divine manifestation cannot take place. Can we say that? Can we
No.
decree? Can a human being decree to the divine that this is not your moment for manifestation? No. What can the human being do? What Arjuna could do? Become the medium. That is all, not worrying about what consequences are. So, this manifestation dissolution is actually a very important aspect in our life also. It is like every day there is a new manifestation, and every day when we go to sleep, it's like a new dissolution. Start off fresh, new. But again, if you are connected with higher consciousness, you are not in that simple cycle. Instead, you are in a continuum. And that is one important aspect of this Upanishad. Sambhuti and Asambhuti. Let us see. Sambhutim cha vinasham cha yastad vedo bhayam saha vinashena mrityum tirtva sambhutyam mamritam ashnute. He who perceives as one. I'll read once more. I just read the shloka. He who perceives as one. Sambhutim cha vinasham cha yastad vedo bhayam saha vinashena mrityum tirtva sambhutyam mritam ashnute. He who perceives as one, manifestation and dissolution, and in both sees no great distinction. In dissolution, beyond death, he transcends, and in birth, immortality, he experiences and comprehends. It's a very interesting shloka. It's talking about something which is difficult for us to understand. This immortality. Well, that immortality also you are able to understand its limit also. You are transcending that also. Even the limits of death. There is something very interesting here. He who perceives as one, manifestation and dissolution. And in both sees no great distinction. So what happens then? Generally, dissolution is what? The end, no? Dissolution is the end, isn't it?
Hmm.
Generally, from what one person understands. So then that is why it is death. We equate dissolution to death. But when we realize that dissolution is also just a part of a cycle of manifestation and dissolution which is taking place, then you are able to transcend that means your mind is not able to think beyond that. So that is why you are stuck there. You reach an end point. And suddenly you realize that no, this is not it. Now, for example, we had this Krishna's, but we have this Krishna's Butter batches for kids, Bhagavad Gita for children. There, we teach some things for the kids in a simplified manner about the Gita because these principles are very useful. So there's even the concept of death is introduced to kids as young as 8 years also, and introduced in a proper manner. Just from the Gita, you're not going too deep like reading the entire eighth adhyaya, which is sometimes done for the adults, but not for the kids. But the message is so powerful, the simple message that one parent only came and contacted us and told us somebody had passed away, and the parent only was feeling broken because they felt that is the end. And the child goes to the parent and says, Mama, don't feel so bad. It is not the end, it is just a journey. It is a continuation of an onward journey. It is very natural in life. Don't think he is just left and gone nowhere. He is going ahead, he is also going to go ahead. What is that? This is an insight, isn't it? Sant
Mhm.
Ramdas Swami, who was the guru of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, he has also beautifully said, Mare eka त्याचा दुजा शोक वाहे akasmat तो ही पुढे जात आहे. Meaning one person dies, for that person the beloved cries. But the one who is crying also does not know that that person is also going to ahead go, isn't it? That person is also going to go in that direction. Many times, death is the biggest riddle because we believe it will happen to everybody else. And so, when we see somebody else's being related to something else, and we have tears for not that person, we are actually having this for ourselves. These are selfish tears. When my teacher told this to me, I did not understand. I was 21, 22. I didn't agree. and that was a burning. So then that's the problem when you don't agree. It's not that you should blindly agree. He says you have to realize. So I didn't realize it. So that's why it was a question mark. No, no, why is this when somebody loses someone near and they cry? It must be that these are true tears. How can we say they are selfish? And just when that question was going on, I got a bad news of my friend losing his mother. So I went to him as a what a friend does. The friend gives comfort, talks, isn't it? So I tried talking to that person, sharing and I was just with him and all the people went, came, and I was with him even after everybody went. And throughout the day, he was just talking, see, my mother went too soon. She shouldn't have done this, she's that. I still gave him the benefit of the doubt. Everywhere it was his mother didn't do this for him or mother did that. And here also it's all about in relation to him and not just in relation to the great one who has now moved on. So it's all connected with individual only. But still, my mind was not clear, isn't it? So I was not fully understanding that a person cries only for self. And then when everybody went, it was quite dark. That time he just came and asked, will my mother become a ghost and haunt me? I was shocked. I was so shocked. Where is that love? How can you think this beautiful person who has been loving you all through the life, who has only been doing good to you, she is going to haunt you. She is going to trouble you. And what are you thinking of right now? This was an unexpected event for everybody, but she being this is what is this? This again, this person is afraid, no, for himself now. And this was when I realized this is actually the nature. There are something called Nirpeksh Ashru. Damliji had explained to me about it, and I think on YouTube there's a story about it also. One of his personal experiences. If I find the link, I will share that to you. So that is where selfless tears go without any particular reason, without expectation. That is different. But otherwise, it's because we just have a limitation. We don't understand. Sometimes we lose things, isn't it? Then we feel bad. But sometimes losing certain things is the best thing that can happen. That is the understanding somebody who is wise can understand. Otherwise, the person remains in a state of darkness. So when somebody crosses that, then that person experiences light also, isn't it? Then that person understands. There are people who can think about the nice moments which are going to be permanently in the heart and smile and think about beyond sorrow also. And these ones are the ones who even help the soul's onward journey. Because many times the soul's onward journey also, when it happens suddenly, yogis are able to, they have already decided, they're already planning for departure. It's like how much payload I'm going to take. They have trajectory calculated, everything. They know when they are to go. But many times, so instead, if you are able to understand, that will help us go beyond dissolution. From beyond death, you go into some higher state. And then, what about the others who are able to, in birth, immortality, that person he experiences. Meaning, in birth, somebody realizes this divine, everything is happening as per divine will. What's going to happen? Are you going to get worried? Oh, what if I lose job? What if I have to go somewhere else where I don't have a job? What is going to happen? What if this person, are there going to be any what if questions if you are conscious that the divine is working everything? What if the
No,
person who has cared so much or whom I care so much about suddenly stops caring about me? What if I end up insulting the person I cared because of speaking the truth? These are what if questions have no end. And a person who is trapped in everything that is physical and what is present will never understand what is occult, will never go beyond the physical plane, will never understand glimpses of what we call the higher states of consciousness. Because what is in the front is only everything according to that person. But someone who understands that beyond what is prakat, what is manifest, there is also, the Bhagavad Gita talks about an unmanifest light present everywhere. It's called avyakta. That avyakta light, that is a Chetana, which is the active Brahman, which is present all around us. If we learn to connect to that, even in the darkest moment, maybe you are not able to summon on the outside light, But on the inside, you will continuously remain in having that Chetana only. Your inner consciousness will not be disturbed. Sri Aurobindo was in a prison, 6 by 9 feet. He got the experience of the Supreme Brahman, the active one in the world also. Vasudevam Sarvamiti was his understanding where he saw. In the judge also he saw, in the prosecutor also he saw. He saw everywhere, he saw that divine. And suddenly the fear disappeared. Or Shrivindu didn't have fear, but it was something else. It was a worry, it was a concern about what is he going to do for Bharat. All that disappeared. Because what happens to such a person? That person becomes free. Free from what? Free from the bandhanas. That is the real immortality. That is the experience of Amrita. Amrita is that which does not die, isn't it? And this is the freedom which is there. Jivan Mukta is forever free. That is why the Jivan Mukta has tasted eternity even in a finite life. Because no more is this person bound, not by customs, not by rituals, not by outer occurrences, nothing. And this person transcends even what we call Shabda Brahma. Shabda Brahmati Vartate is what the Gita talks about, somebody who has reached that state. So this is the second, this is the realization. Because if you see even Mrityunjay mantra, which talks about transcending from mortality to immortality, what is that? If you just look at that mantra, Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushti vardhanam urvarukam eva bandhanat mrityor mukshiyam amrutata. It gives an example, which I meditate upon that divine three-eyed one. It's referring to Shiva, who is who is like the Poshan Karta, who is the one who is raising all the living consciousness in the world. That person, I mean that divine I meditate. Why? Because I will experience that freedom. Mrityor mukshiyam amruta, like what? Purvarukam eva bandhana, like a cucumber. Suddenly, what? Where did cucumber come into immortality? Should we eat cucumbers to get immortality? We can get saved from dehydration trouble in summers. That is true, but immortality? Is there some Ayurvedic medical medicine that can be made? No, it is about the phenomenon of how if, when you look at the ripe cucumber from the stalk, you don't even have to pull it out also. Just touch it slightly, it will separate naturally. That is the freedom. You are ready to leave for the divine one without any holding. Means if it is not ripe, if it is not ripe and you try to pull a portion of the stalk, will get stuck to it. It will be broken. There will be pain, isn't it? Instead, without pain also this can happen. A separation without pain. It is also possible. When is that possible? When there is a higher consciousness. वो अफसाना जिसे अनजान को लाना हो मुश्किल उसे खूबसूरत मोड़ दे के भुलाना ही सही. It is said that one I want to manifest a particular outcome because I like this outcome very much, or this is the right outcome is what I feel. But I'm not able to bring it at all. What can you do then? Give it a beautiful turn and then forget about it. Just forget about it because holding on to it, attaching to it will only create trouble to everything and everywhere. So that is the aspect where we have to learn. Probably that is the wisdom of these wise ones. They say manifestation also, dissolution also. Many times the greatest award winners who have worked and received the greatest awards, they're crying on the day they are receiving awards. At the end of on the award show, they are very happy. But after going in, it's like I've got this, but I'm not having the satisfaction. I'm not having somebody to share this with. Or what am I going to get from this? Was it really worth all of it? I waited for this, but I got it now. Is ultimately a metal object here. I don't know what it was. It all worth it? These are all questions because it was done with a different aspect. Instead, there is somebody who is he or she is connected with the divine consciousness. Every moment is an award by the divine. Tena tyaktena bunjita. Magrudha kassis vidhanam. Don't run after somebody else's wealth. Even eating somebody's moment is a wealth. You are stealing. No need to go and try to take anything by physical, mental, emotional. troubling yourself over no reasons. Instead, just what moment comes to you. It is a moment that has come from the divine, and that is the moment that must be enjoyed. So with this, we go into the. I had told you we will look at the. You will only tell me which is the next moment, but just I just show you the shloka. We saw this, isn't it? We were looking at dualities in the last moment, vidya and avidya. Sambhuti, what is this? Manifestation and dissolution also. Asambhuti and sambhuti. That was all it. Everywhere we were seeing a similar pattern, isn't it? Yenastad vichachakshire, iti shushrama dhiranam. This was the repetition of the same type of. Now you suddenly see this shloka. हिरण्मयेन पात्रेण सत्यस्यापि हितं मुखं तत्त्वं पूषणम् अपावृणो सत्यधर्माय दृष्टयेत्. It's talking about a golden vessel. It is talking about a God who is Pushan. It's talking about truth which is covered. Doesn't it look completely different from this pattern that we are looking at? Anybody? Suddenly, because right now we were all talking about dualities, and now suddenly a God is being introduced. Yes or no? Doesn't it feel different? Anybody? Yes, that is why Sri Aurobindo has classified it in the fourth moment.
Fourth moment.
Unnecessarily. Yes, that is the fourth moment. Anybody who sees it's unnecessary, this is again a duality, no? Sri Aurobindo's this should not have done this. Why? Why? What is wrong? Isn't it visible? Isn't that a truth? So this is absolutely the importance of the Upanishadic text is self-realization. And self-realization is important for the individual. Until the individual gets that self-realization, the divine work cannot be done. And one must not run into a self-realization which is taking a person away from duties, away from the work. That is the crux of this Upanishad. Again, that does not mean this is to be like this Upanishad must be now mass taught in a particular manner. It is up to the receiver, isn't it? Upanishadic truths cannot be forced into people. It can be included in exam, syllabus for some people, but including it in exam will not guarantee anything but marks, no? Will it guarantee realization? Not at all. This has to be realized. And it can happen only when a person sits and gets into an inner dialogue with the self, with what is happening around in our lives. Because if we don't connect with it, it's of not much use, isn't it? If we do not connect with the teachings, with these principles, where are we going to get liberated? So that is the again important aspect. Now we'll come to the last moment, which is the final part of the Upanishad. It is the final part, means the finale is always going to have something very special. This part of the Upanishad is ending with that beautiful Mahavakya, the realization of Soham Asmi. What is that? How can I realize that? Well, first, remember all of these first moment, second moment, third moment. What is it talking about? Don't get so trapped in your mind. Don't get trapped in your mind. Mind is limited. Anejatekam manaso javiyo. Nainat devam. It's going greater than the gods also, greater than the mind. That is that Brahman. So my mind is limited. Why? Why should I even bother about my mind? I can tell my mind only don't mind. I'm trying to learn higher Brahma Vidya. So stop interfering. Give me your logical suggestions. I will keep them in a locker. Use them when I want, but not when I want to realize. Because the limitation of the mind. But mind is only used as a vehicle. It's like a springboard to jump into a region which is beyond the mind. Only way you can do that. That is why it is said sometimes you need a direction, you need a guru, or you need a aradhya's support and force to move them, go into that plane. So with this, I think we have come. We let us stop today at this particular aspect of the third moment. Let us get ready for the fourth moment. Fourth moment is again a beautiful and practical moment. With that, we'll come to the final part of the Upanishad. So with this, we are ready to conclude. If anybody has any queries, anything you wish to share or ask, you are welcome. Or we conclude with a summary. Yes. Anybody would like to? Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Sudhakar ji.
we'll,
Yes, sir.
uh, if everybody can cultivate uh, the habit of acceptance,
Yeah, yeah.
then,
Life will be beautiful.
life will be beautiful because you don't have the disillusionments, you don't have expectations,
Yeah, yeah, you don't have,
and
that is a
even
beautiful aspect. No,
and
we
even if
are,
you accept death, then disillusion automatically happens.
yes, 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 yes.
Isn't it?
And without expectation, your home will become Vrindavan only, no?
Well, definitely, yeah.
There will be no fights. Everybody can love each other freely. And it can
Hmm.
happen so easily. But for that, there must be a will of the individual to transcend. One person loses ego is enough. Let us not worry about making the entire world ego free. That is not going to happen. So that is the, I think, yes, Sudhakar has said beautifully. This is the practical aspect. And so who says Vedanta is not practical? It's most practical. Then it has to be implemented. Yes. Anybody would like to summarize? Yes, anybody?
Basically, like Arjun, we have to keep inside only the truth.
Yeah.
And if we don't know the way,
Hmm.
then we'll be guided.
There's no worry.
There is, we don't have to think about manifestation or dissolution. The moment
Yes.
we bring in some thinking or any element of ourselves, then we are going to get distracted. And
Yeah.
then we have to look either at manifestation or dissolution or
And
uh,
we go to
everything,
darkness, isn't it, Rashnaji?
everything else, everything
We,
else.
we go
But
to darkness, isn't it?
but the truth. So
Uh,
just we have to remember that what instruction he gave Arjun, or how he was looking at the eye of the fish when everything was in motion in a different direction.
yeah.
But he was looking only at the eye of the fish, and while looking down, he shot the arrow up when he had gone to Draupadi Swayamvar. He was
Yes.
not looking at anything else. He was trained for that throughout. And
Yeah.
in the same way, we have to apply this every
No,
day.
but Rashnaji, he got training. No, somebody will say, I have not got training. So I am in a different place. I have not got training like Arjuna.
No,
I
no.
don't have some guide who's guiding me every single moment. Can I do
We have
that? Is the question. No? Is it
no
possible for everybody?
we have the Gita,
Huh?
which he has come down. He has come down to the earth,
Hmm?
specifically given that document to us, which we
Yeah,
must
but
know that.
yeah, but that is true. But sometimes when we now say, for example, at this moment, somebody has to take an action. That person, if you want to tell them, if you tell them that, what would you say? You cannot tell because many times I've gone to conferences also. When a question is asked, the person says, read my book. The person who is speaking, he's not answering the question, but he's saying, read my book. So now, as a principle, I'm not saying you are doing that. You are actually giving a very important aspect. We must study the Gita. But in a one point, for a person who aspires, how can that person also achieve the same thing? Or can that person achieve the same thing with a very sincere aspiration? What Arjuna was achieving? If the focus is that strong.
Yes, you have to just abandon yourself to
Ah.
the
Abandoning the self is important, isn't it? If the
well,
self is there, whatever drawbacks of the self, they are also going to come. You are going to remind yourself, I am limited, I am weak, I am inferior, or I can't do this, I'm not so strong. I am not Arjuna. But if the will is there and the aim is there and it's simple, that force will be the divine force, isn't it? The strong. You see, when Swami Vivekananda also had not used the gun, but his concentration was so firm that he suddenly picked up the gun and he was able to shoot the eggshells floating in the, or just on the lake. Everybody was surprised. How did you do it? He said, "It's okay. You need concentration. When the aim has to be important. When the aim is clear, nothing else is required." I think we have example of an Olympic medalist. who became a trademark figure across the world for not having too many equipments. Just calm, casual, pinpointed. He won because of concentration. So yes, sir. Rachnaji, that was my just question in light of your wonderful, insightful statement. Yes. Anything else you would like to add, Ji? Yes, Ji.
In our, whenever we look at our scriptures, whether anybody who has written anything of import, like say Mirabai or Tulsidas, Surdas, they all had very difficult circumstances. They did not even have homes sometimes,
Hmm.
and Surdas was blind,
Ah,
and they they just kept abandoning themselves, and they were guided. Adi Shankaracharya also left his house at when he was just 12 years old. How did
yeah.
a child know how where to walk, where to go, how to find a guru?
Hmm.
Uh, at the age of 32, he had completed everything. So there is guidance which is available, but we do not let ourselves go.
Ah. We don't let ourselves go. No, that becomes a problem. We don't have to. We can't. Nobody had a bed of roses, isn't it? After somebody has
But
walked a distance, it appears that that person had it easy, that person was lucky, that person received it. It all appears after the karma is done, no?
yes,
Best of best players, I said, these persons are too talented, they play effortlessly. I've heard multiple players getting annoyed when even this music players. Look at that. This is an insult to calling my work effortless. Do you know how many hours of effort I put in to come to this stage? It's insulting to say that it is effortless. But it
yes,
looks like that. It looks like it comes naturally to people. And
because
we make a division, no? Bheda, no? I am different. I don't have that active Brahman component. That person has that. So it worked. All that is not required. Yes, Rashnaji. Yes. They all
people
because everybody had hurdles. Sometimes
people
you have
have
to
gone to
celebrate the
depths of
hurdles.
darkness.
When you
Actually,
find, yeah. When it is when you get a hurdle, you become more happier. Ki chalo, I'm getting a chance to face it. What's going to happen? Nothing worse can happen. You can enjoy. There's no failure also there. But the victory of the divine. The mother is also told of mother of Sri Aurobindo Ashram. Nothing is but certain but the certitude of victory for those who are on the path of the divine. Every result is a success. Yes, absolutely, Rachnaji. Yes. Anybody would like to add further? Because after that we can conclude. Any other point? Yes. Is it all right? Then I think we can probably go to the conclusion. So, manifestation or dissolution, knowledge or ignorance, this person agrees to my view, this person does not agree to my view. I want to convince somebody, I don't want to convince. All these are not required for us to look at. Instead, focus on the divine and just perform your action, understanding that the divine must do the work. I am not supposed to be in the middle. Many times we get trouble, we get anxiety, we get headaches, we get worried. All of this is because we think we are doing outer situations because I is remaining. But when you go into that bhava of everything belongs to the divine, what will you lose? I've already got everything. The greatest of greatest gains is already mine. Sometimes one moment itself is precious for an entire lifetime. You don't need anything more than that, and that moment becomes the source of light for an entire life. Just one moment. It could be a moment of realization. It could be a moment, something which is very precious to you, any single thing. Because that is important. We must realize that and learn to put ourselves behind. Then we don't have to worry. Na ham karta, Hare karta. When Hari does the work, there is Leela. When you do the work, there is headache of Maya. I lose this will happen, that will happen. Nothing. You're not Nostradamus to predict everything. No offense meant to Nostradamus or any of his followers. So, yes, with this, I think let us conclude with the Shanti Mantra. We are ready to enter into another beautiful moment, which is the fourth one, which is again bringing it back to the practical. Right now, there was certain, I mean, everything was practical, but from metaphysical to now direct realization, something which is a realization which is Sri Aurobindo calls terrestrial realization. which is there in the Gita also. Many people think Gita does not talk about terrestrial realization. That's a falsehood. If Gita did not talk about terrestrial realization, Arjuna would have stopped taking part in the battle. Arjuna yoga classes would have been taking place, and Arjuna would be conducting something else there, but not doing his duty of work, which is as a warrior, he has to do that. His karma is there, Daitva is there, he is a Kshetra. I mean, he's a Kshetragnya in the Kshetra of Dhanurvidya. Krishna has kept him there. The divine has given a work. So that work needs to be done without escaping, without rejecting, which is again important in this Upanishad also. That rejection is not what you are wanting. There is also a type of dvesha. So I think with this we conclude with the Shanti Mantra. Looking forward again for the fourth moment. Namaste. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah. Sarve santu niramaya. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Hari Om Tat Sat. Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. Hari Om. So wish you all a wonderful day. We'll all be happy. All right, let us see then next week again. Namaste. Ji.
Namaste.
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 Wishing you a
Namaste.
good evening too.
Thank you, Ji. Thank you, Ji. Namaste.
See you.